It is a chair that will never really be filled. It's as empty tonight as our hearts. Gary Papa died today. While his mind said never, his body finally surrendered to cancer. It is Friday night, and our big story on Action News tonight is the death of Gary Papa. The end for Gary came minutes before 3 o'clock this afternoon at the hospital of the University of Pennsylvania. His wife Kathleen and his 2 sons were at his side, as they have been since the day that he found out he had metastatic prostate cancer. And while Gary continued to ply his craft every day at Channel 6, even with the radiation and the chemotherapy, he became the region's general in the war against the disease, offering encouragement to all those men who found themselves in the same trench as he. But let's look back on a mostly healthy life, a life so vital it will be recalled as long as we are here to remember. He was born in Buffalo in 1954. Upstate New York would be his home for most of the next 27 years. Gary went to Cornell University as an undergraduate and actually considered a career as an attorney. He earned his law degree at the University of Buffalo Law School. But that's when the combination of sports and broadcasting got its hold on Gary. He went into television in Buffalo and in Steubenville, Ohio. 1981 is when Gary came to Action News and the tri-state area. It was April of that year, and Gary's first report, like so many of his would-be, it was from the road in Milwaukee, where the Sixers were playing the Bucks in the NBA playoffs.
As it's on to Philadelphia for Game 7 on Sunday. I'm Gary Papa, Action News with the 76ers in Milwaukee.
Action News viewers will remember that Gary spent 9 years as weekend sports anchor, working alongside Rob Jennings. He also spent 3 days a week reporting from the field, often on the Phillies, Flyers, Sixers, and Eagles, and often on ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
Usually with an accident such as Michael's, what doctors fear is not the physical problem, but a mental problem, because right afterwards there is a state of depression. But that was not the case with Michael.
Action News wasn't Gary's only program here on Channel 6. He was also the host of the long-running weekend program Primetime, taking over for Jim O'Brien in 1983.
Come to Mama. Come to Papa.
Yeah, whatever.
In 1990, Gary was named Action News Sports Director.
Let's go live to Tug McGraw, the vet.
But it would be a mistake to think that a Monday through Friday anchoring job would let Gary spend his weekends at home. Wherever the sports story was, wherever it took place, Gary was there. So when the Eagles were playing on Sundays, he was working. And if they were on the road, so was he. And when sports came to town, even sports that we weren't all familiar with, Gary was there. And he explained them to all of us.
45,000 inside and outside the First Union Center in South Philadelphia. Highlight of the day, even have some new music. Here we go. Let's get down in the dirt tonight.
Because he was seemingly everywhere, seemingly all of the time, many Action News viewers considered Gary a part of their families, as did all of us who worked with him. So when Gary announced on the air in 2004 that he was battling prostate cancer, he knew he was sharing a private ordeal with people who cared, and he received an outpouring of emotion and support throughout his fight. And for Gary, it was a powerful fight. In fact, for much of that fight, he was on top. But 3 years after the fact, he broke the news to all of us that he was again undergoing chemotherapy. Through it all, Gary's love was being on the air every night that he could. When he sat in the studio, no matter how awful he felt, his spirits would brighten, his smile would shine, and if even for just 3 minutes, he felt the joy and the thrill of sharing the day's sports and being part of the day's triumphs and tragedies with all of you and with all of us. Gary leaves behind his wife Kathleen and his 2 sons, Tucker and Nathaniel, and of course his Action News family and all of you. Gary Papa loved Philadelphia sports, but even more so, he loved the fans who loved Philadelphia sports. Whether at home or on the road, Gary always made room for the loyal fans who followed the Phillies, the Flyers, the Sixers, and the Eagles. And when Gary faced a setback in his battle with prostate cancer, those fans showed Gary their love. I happen to know that that demonstration touched him deeply. Needless to say, many local luminaries from the world of sports were talking about Gary today. Keith Russell has been sorting through all these remembrances and good wishes. And Keith, what did they have to say today?
Jim, they all had the same thing to say, the same thing we can say. We move forward knowing this is the biggest challenge we have ever faced. Gary Papa was the leader of our sports department. That was never in question. Filling his shoes, not possible. We want you, the viewers of the Delaware and Lehigh Valley, to know that. Gary was very committed to the fight against cancer. He was our coach. That made him fit right in with the effort known as Coaches vs. Cancer. Tonight, some of the Big Five coaches pay their respects. They are not alone.
A trusted sportscaster for all in college basketball, and certainly all of us here at St. Joseph's University. All of the coaches involved in Coaches vs. Cancer, and we will continue to fight with the determination and the spirit that Gary fought with.
It really knocks you for a loop, but again, he had fought so hard and so long, and he had beat it, and it came back, and you know, you know, you admire the fight that he had in him.
He always covered a story, but then you could see there was always the respect he had for you for fighting and battling, and I think that that was reciprocated by all of us in our respect for him.
And he saw some bad baseball, some bad basketball, and some bad football in the city, but you never heard him like complaining or, you know, ragging on the teams. He's always looking at the bright side and the silver lining, always trying to be positive.
Gary was somebody that we all, you know, really enjoyed. His approach to sports was upbeat, optimistic. He's just a joy to work with over the years, and, you know, we all knew he'd been seriously sick, and it's not a surprise. It's just a sad day. He's somebody that, you know, the sports world is intense, and Gary was somebody you'd always feel like you could talk to, enjoyed his reporting, and he's just a good guy.
The words of Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie. Jim, you know better than anyone, Gary Papa was revered in the sports community of Philadelphia. He was revered in our sports department right upstairs. In just a few minutes, Jamie Apodi joins me, and she'll have some thoughts to share as well.
Thank you, Keith. Now, among the sports figures paying tribute to Gary tonight, Charles Barkley. When the NBA Hall of Famer was drafted by the Sixers back in 1984, Gary was beginning to really make his name at Action News. They met, and Barkley says that was the beginning of a friendship that would span more than 2 decades.
To let you know how good a guy he was he had to be a wonderful guy. He had to be very talented at what he did, but he had to be a nice person, because I actually thought he was too nice to work in Philadelphia when I first met him. And I really didn't think he was going to make it because he was such a nice guy. And he did it, and he did it very well. I've known him and Cat 25 years, and it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. And Philadelphia is blessed to have somebody like that in their city all these years.
Barkley went on to say that he learned a lot from Gary Papa and uses that knowledge in his new career as a sportscaster. Other than his family, nobody mattered more to Gary than the fans of Philadelphia. We've said it before, and no doubt we will say it again. A whole lot of those fans were thinking about him at the Phillies game tonight. Action News reporter Dan Quayer is live at Citizens Bank Park. Hello, Dan.
Hello, Jim. Many of us at Action News are taking this hard because we work with Gary, knew him on a personal level, and loved him like a brother. But it was enduring to hear so many people speak so fondly of him here, and it occurred to me that many of them saw him as a family member because, after all, he was in their living rooms and dens night after night as they were growing up and going through the ups and downs of everyday life.
Oh, my God. Yes. He was the greatest. He put up such a good fight. He always was coming back. He looked good. That's a sin. That's a big loss.
Such a great guy for Philadelphia. Oh my gosh, I'm so saddened by that news.
You know, my heart goes out to Gary Papa's family and everybody at Action News. Been watching him for years. All you guys are like family, and it's a big loss.
As a faithful fan of WPVI Channel 6, I used to always watch him. I love the way he described sports, the excitement, enthusiasm he had. He is a true Philadelphia fan, and I love him, and I wish him Godspeed.
Clearly, the man we knew at Action News, the fighter, the jubilant mentor on the virtues of winning and giving it all you got, the prankster who kept things light when the going got rough, truly transcended beyond the screen on television.
Unbelievable how long he held out and kept working with his ailment that he had for 5 years. And watching him on TV, you would never known that he had a problem.
My father and I are survivors of prostate cancer, so you kind of wish he had the same thing happen to him, you know, because you always want somebody to have life, especially when they have cancer.
It's a very sad day in Philadelphia for the loss of Gary Papa. I've been the Channel 6 watcher for over 25 years growing up with Gary. It's a sad day. It is. It's a really sad occasion.
Gary Papa is great. Always a smile. Always seemed like you're always friendly. You know, always we always enjoy looking forward to the sports each night.